The crush is on in the stock market. Yes, I'll continue our analysis of the risk of rental property investing, but with what's happening in the stock market right now, well, America is crying out for leadership where the caving in of the stock market is concerned, and I'm here to give it to you. I'm Bryan Ellis. This is episode number 120.
You're listening to Self-Directed Investor Radio, America's only podcast exclusively for affluent, self-directed investors, where each day of the week you receive innovative investment strategy and deadly accurate market analysis that's untainted by Wall Street and unblemished by government propaganda, all in 7 minutes or less. Coming to you now from iTunes, Stitcher, and SDIRadio.com, here's your host, Bryan Ellis.
Hello, SDI Nation. Welcome to the podcast of record for savvy, self-directed investors like you. Ever wonder why the topics I discuss so frequently find their way onto other financial shows? It's simple. Self-Directed Investor Radio is show prep for everybody else. We set the table, everybody else sits at it. And my friends, you are welcome guests. Back on August 5th, I gave you a warning about the stock market. I focused on Apple Computer, and I suggested to you that as Apple goes, so goes the rest of the market. I told you the reason I feared for Apple was because of the weakness of China's economy and the dependency Apple has on that market for future growth. On that day, I advised, consider taking at least some of your profits out of Apple, and fast. And since that day, well, it's a big fat I told you so. Since then, Apple stock has dropped by 8.3%. The S&P 500 has dropped by over 6%. And, oh yeah, China devalued their currency in the wake of a stock market crash in that country, confirming for all the world to see that the great economic power of the East is, at very best, on shaky ground after decades of misrepresenting the truth. And, oh, by the way, as of this moment, at about 8:30 a.m. Eastern on Monday, August 24th, Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures were down by over 700 points at one point, and the NASDAQ is presently locked at what's called limit down, meaning that traders are pushing the market lower, but the market circuit breakers are kicking in and forcing an artificial stop to the descent. Who knows what will actually happen today? The whole thing could recover before the market opens, but I doubt it. There are some really negative indicators going on right now. My friends, I want you to understand the gravity of what's going on right now. If you had $100,000 invested in Apple stock back on August 5th, just 2 weeks ago when I brought this up, you've now lost about $8,300 if you didn't take action based on my analysis back then. Now, who's to say Apple won't rally and achieve new all-time highs? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. But here's the thing. The chart doesn't look good, either for Apple or for the broader market. Folks, there's a time and a place for everything. I respectfully submit to you that now is not the time, and this is not the place to be a retail stock market investor. There are many companies out there that are very well run and that represent fundamentally wise plays if you're analyzing the quality of those companies in a vacuum separate from the broader economy. But folks, you know you can't do that. That's not wise. How do you feel about the broader economy? Do you feel like it's really as strong as the media is telling you? I told you just a few days ago in episode 117, the hard evidence of how the government is very aggressively lying to all of us about the state of this economy. And as the insanely vicious and racially bigoted preacher Jeremiah Wright once said, America's chickens are coming home to roost. My friends, in the middle of this chaos, in the middle of this concern, things have been pretty boring around my house. Pleasantly so. We keep getting checks in the mail. It's not sexy like the stock market. We know exactly what the amount of those checks will be every month. I mean, in one way, the profitability is way sexier than the stock market. But, it's boring. Checks month after month, month after month. It's not volatile. It's not exciting. It's very boring. And it's profoundly reliable. My friends, listen up. This show is not for the faint of heart. If you want somebody to tell you middle-of-the-road advice, if you want to hear ideas that are merely acceptable for everybody, but truly great for nobody, this is not your show. But if you want the hard truth, people, here it is. The truth about the U.S. stock market is that it has been manipulated so incredibly thoroughly, and it simply can't go on. The media hasn't even had to lie to you about the situation in stocks for several years because it's looked so positive, but it's not true, my friends. And if we're not on the precipice of the big reveal of that fact, we're not far away. Folks, you've doubtlessly heard the phrase quantitative easing. You may have even heard it as QE1 or QE2 or QE3 because the government did it in 3 different, distinct, massive rounds. I'll not bother you with what they say it was all about, but I will tell you what it actually was. It was a way for the Federal Reserve to print a huge amount of new money, dump it into the stock market in order to see the averages go higher, and thereby distract the entire country from the fact that the fundamentals of this economy are horrible. Folks, it's been more than 40 years since our labor force participation rate was as low as it is right now. The real unemployment rate, factoring in people who are working menial part-time jobs or other obvious underemployment, is, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics' own admission, well over 10%, and much higher than that according to some very reputable sources, including the Gallup organization. My friends, the time for you to do as you're told with your money is long since over. I'd like to remind you of something I said just a moment ago. In the midst of this financial chaos, and I fear that's exactly what's brewing is real chaos, things have been pleasantly calm in the Ellis household. The stock market can fall apart, and while it's certainly not true that I don't care about that, what I can say is it doesn't hurt me. Those boring, consistent, predictable checks keep coming in month after month, and the profits keep mounting. Folks, I'm not telling you it's time to sell your portfolio in stocks, though who's to say? What I am telling you is this. It's time to consider a new core for your portfolio, an entirely new basis, something that's strong, something that's based on real value, something that's profitable, something you can predict and plan on. You need something that's simple. You need something that's safe. You need something that's strong. It's time for a return to sanity. If you're worried about what the current tenor of the market will mean for your portfolio, let's talk. You can set up an appointment by texting the word guidance to 33444 or by visiting sdiradio.com/guidance. Better yet, my friends, if you'd like to never ever have to be worried again about what the terror in the market will mean for your portfolio, that's an even better reason for us to talk, and to talk right away. It's not too late, and you can set up an appointment by texting the word guidance to 33444 or by visiting sdiradio.com/guidance. My friends, remember that core value number one of wise self-directed investors is this: we always respect our own capital. Is it showing respect for your capital to leave it sitting in a market with a foundation as shaky as that of the U.S. stock market? Wouldn't you like to have a firm foundation for your portfolio, folks? I love these words about building on a firm foundation. The rain came, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. Like I said, it's entirely possible the market will recover entirely today and will turn out to be a normal day, at least as far as history is concerned. But what's happening right now isn't normal for a foundation built on a solid rock. I'd love to help you build that foundation in your portfolio. My friends, invest wisely today and live well forever.
Thank you for listening to Self-Directed Investor Radio with Bryan Ellis. Don't miss a single episode. Be sure to subscribe to Self-Directed Investor Radio right now on iTunes, on Stitcher, and at SDIRadio.com. Your feedback is always welcomed via email at feedback@sdiradio.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only and is not intended as legal or professional advice for your situation. Content is the property of the Self-Directed Investor Society.